These circumstances are just getting worse and worse and worse. And to punctuate that, BBTS, Big Bad Toy Store, one of the main outlets that we all look to pre-order figures and order our collectibles, our figures and such, has officially put out a statement saying, hey, we're going to have to do it. So this is the email that was posted on Reddit. Hi, everyone. I'm writing to share with you how we are working to handle the rapidly escalating tariff situation. I want to be transparent and honest with you about the impacts of these tariffs. This is a complex situation, so I apologize upfront for the length of my note, but I feel it is important to be as clear as possible in this difficult time. Tariffs, what just happened? For 25 years, we have operated as a family-owned business under a 0% tariff rate. Several months ago, a 10% tariff was enacted for goods made in China. It was then doubled to 20%. In April, a 34% tariff was added to the total, bringing us to 54%. Last night, another 50% was added, and today, April 9th, which was yesterday, an additional 21% was added, bringing us to 125% total tariffs on Chinese goods. Vietnam was to be subject to a 46% tariff, but it appears that it has been reduced to 10% for the next 90 days. These two countries manufacture 90% of the goods that we sell. What is the impact? This unfortunately is going to result in retail price increases on products impacted by the tariffs, including new and open pre-orders. We are working hard to minimize these increases through discussing with our vendors, deploying the most efficient importing processes, and ultimately sharing directly in the financial pain. I'm heartbroken to have to do this, and I hate this tariff situation. It is ridiculous, poorly thought out, poorly implemented, cruel and punishing to everyone involved in affected countries and at entry level of our industry. And that last phrase, entry level of our industry, you can see which companies are doing well versus which ones are trying to get by because they just love the stuff that they sell based on how much of the tariffs they're having to apply to the products, in which case we're strictly talking about the action figure community versus who's not. Who has so far, from what I can tell, from my point of view, from what I've been able to observe, unless I'm wrong, if somebody can point it out to me, if they're showing something different on their end, let me know. But to me, when it comes to like pre-orders for like the McFarlanes, the Marvel Legends, and this morning was probably the best example that kind of showcased that, was the Maximum Hulk. The Maximum Hulk went up for pre-order this morning. And I thought to myself, okay, so I'm guessing the price is 60? Yeah. And 50. And 80. And 70. And 65. It's all over the place. And that's because there's certain outlets that can literally afford to absorb the tariffs, and then others who have no choice but to implement the tariffs because, by comparison, I don't want to call them a mom and pop shop because there's much other legitimate mom and pop brick and mortar stores that sell stuff. Like in, one example that I would use would be Mike's Toys and Stuff in Orange County in Southern California. He's quite literally a mom and pop place because he has a toy store that he literally only runs 2 days out of the week because in between the week, he has a full-time job, and he utilizes that full-time job to then keep the business going. But now, even I'm thinking about him and going, what is he going to have to do to keep Hasbro stuff coming in, to keep McFarlane stuff coming in, and some other imports? Because he also handles some Figure Arts, some Mafex, some Beast Kingdoms, etc. Even a couple of Hot Toys here and there. But I have not seen Amazon raise prices on anything. I haven't seen Amazon add a little like tariff little number. I haven't seen them do anything. And that's because we're talking about Amazon. They can afford it. They can afford to absorb that within, like I said, the smaller stuff. If we're talking 6 scale Hot Toys level figures or in art or anything like that of like 1/6 scale or realistic masterpiece figures, even though they are implementing some tariff stuff, they're probably the ones that are taking the most of the hit because they can afford it. Sideshow. Because when you think of Hot Toys and pre-ordering Hot Toys, who do you think about the first? At least here within the States, who do you think number one to go and pre-order your Hot Toys figure? Sideshow. Under that, Big Bad Toy Store, maybe, and then 1/6 Kit, who guess what, is in China. And even he's trying to sort things out to see what kind of solution he comes up with, because I think last week he put out a statement. Who pays tariffs? Here at the bottom. Tariffs are a tax on the U.S. consumer. Foreign governments do not pay these tariffs. The U.S.-based companies who import these goods are directly responsible for paying the tariffs, and ultimately the U.S.-based consumer pays for them through higher product prices. We are devastated that it has come to this, and will continue to work hard to minimize the impact to you. When and how will prices change? In the past month, we have raised prices in a manner that was inclusive of expected tariffs, while also honoring previously pre-ordered prices. I even saw that, because even I was like, okay, I'm going to keep this pre-order because it's actually lower than the price it's going for right now. It's still in stock and still available for pre-order, but I'm going to keep my previous pre-order because it's lower. Like some of the Beast Kingdom figures were going for, in my pre-order, were $50, but if I were to pre-order them now, they would be like $55, $56. Unfortunately, I'm going back to the email here. Unfortunately, the dramatic increases in tariff levels have now made this approach impossible. To minimize confusion during this rapidly changing situation, we will be changing newly affected pre-order product listings to reflect our normal non-tariff based prices. We will also add a notice indicating that a tariff surcharge will be added at the time of the product's arrival. So they're not going to charge you the tariff now, but when it is ready for shipping. So even in spoilers, I ended up canceling a order that I had for like 6 Beast Kingdom Batman figures because they were like all the movie Batman. Sorry, bumped the mic. And I canceled because I have to prioritize what works on my channel, which is McFarlane, Marvel Legends, some figure arts, some Aphex, and keep it at that, pare it down. B, Beast Kingdom, even I have to admit, ever so often their proportions are a little weird, and I can even tell from some of the figures that their proportions are a little weird. But then, most importantly, C, that means that later when they arrive, they're still going to charge me that tariff charge anyway. Even if I kept the pre-order for $50, now they probably will bump it up to $55.99 to the new price. So what's the point? I'm like, all right, screw it. I canceled. It's already starting. I'm already canceling some stuff. Yeah, you'll also be able to cancel your pre-order at the time if the surcharge amount is something you do not wish to pay, which is what I did. Our customer service team, as always, will be ready to help with any issues that arise from the situation, and we will be very flexible given the circumstances. Today, we expect a surcharge maybe between 15 to 40% of the pre-order price. However, that could change as the situation continues to unfold. Please note that any items currently in stock are not subject to the tariff. They're not subject to the tariff because they already raised the prices. We are working as fast as we can to make these changes clear on our site, but it will take us time. We have over 10,000 items, and I think the rest is, kind of self-explanatory. So I'm going to skip to the part where it says finally here. I absolutely hate increasing prices to you, but the tariff situation is beyond our control. If tariffs are reduced or removed, we will reduce or remove the tariff surcharges on orders accordingly. My pledge to you is that we will be fair and we will share the pain of this. I assure you we are already feeling significant economic and business disruption pain from these tariffs. We will continue to work hard to serve you with the quality and customer service level you expect as we navigate through this difficult time. I want to thank you deeply for all the trust and loyalty that you have placed in Big Bad Toy Store with your collecting passion, whether you have recently joined our family or have been with us for years. We truly value our relationship with you and will do our best to continue to earn your trust every day. Sincerely, Joel Boblet. I never knew his last name, Boblet. I always saw Joel from BBTS, founder and president. And it just puts into perspective, like, what would it be like if businesses like Big Bad Toy Store get hurt so badly that they get put out? Has anybody thought about that? What if they get put out of business because whether the tariffs go back, get removed and prices go back to normal, a lot of the damage is going to be done to some of these smaller businesses. It's gotten so bad to the point where Big Bad Toy Store had to put out a statement. Sideshow has put out a statement. Comic Concepts, which handles an awful lot of 1/6 scale figures, put out a statement. And even McFarlane Toys put out a statement a few weeks back. And the more I look at it, the more I'm like, yeah, even if this doesn't last for too long, the damage is still gonna. It's like making a cut, but the cut is small but deep. And because of how deep it went, even if it's only like a couple of millimeters wide in terms of like the incision, you've severed some arteries pulling out. And that's what makes it difficult to really to really understand. Like, you know, who knows? Maybe in due time I'll see it, but I don't. And again, the biggest way to exemplify this, and another reason for why it was perfect amount of time for me to a perfect thing for me to wait, was the pre-order launch of the Maximum Hulk from Marvel Legends. So if we were to kind of like create a law of averages, it looks like the average price for Maximum Hulk is $60, because it's probably the most frequent price that I'm seeing up here. And out of all places, Amazon is the one that is selling it for that $60, and Big Bad Toy Store still has it up for pre-order, $60. But you notice in big bold red letters, excludes tariff surcharge, which means that tariff is going to come back later when it ships in July. The following notices apply to this product. Listed price excludes tariff surcharge. Just to constantly remind. And then I believe it's Hasbro themselves who also is offering it for $60, which I believe was also sold out not too long ago, but it's still available for pre-order. I think it came back. So you have BBTS, Amazon, and even Hasbro themselves offering it at $60. Best Buy had it for $50, the cheapest. Now, is that surprising? No, because we're talking about a giant conglomerate that sells very pricey electronics. Best Buy. It's not a mom and pop, or it's not a very small, held together, you know, held on its own storefront like Big Bad Toy Store or even Entertainment Earth. You know, it's almost, and I use the term loosely, almost like Amazon. I say almost because even Best Buy is struggling when it comes to electronics. But when it comes to action figures, they're going to be like, oh yeah, we could absorb that. $50. And they probably can even allow free shipping or, of course, free in-store pickup. Last time I checked, though, it was sold out, and now even the page is not working. But yeah, $50. So you have most storefronts doing it for $60, but then $50. It's gone now. You know, no real point in trying it now. Other side of the spectrum, Entertainment Earth, $75. Now, there is a caveat, because on the one hand, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. $75. I understand that you guys are probably trying to bake in the tariff surcharge, but there's others doing it for $60. I think there was one other storefront I saw that was doing $65, I think. But $75? What the hell? But then I thought about it and I went, wait. If you add just $5 more of a merchandise or an item or something, you get the free shipping. So I don't know if this is their strategy to incentivize free shipping or to incentivize adding more to the cart, but still, there's a reason for why this is very easily still available for pre-order. $75. So you can see the effect already taking into effect about how this thing with Maximum Hulk is just fluctuating from one storefront to the other. And again, the ones that are charging the most are, of course, Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth. And then a couple of others. And who's able to charge it the least or keep it at a moderate amount? Amazon, Best Buy. Genuinely surprised that Hasbro was also able to do it for $60. But then again, they're also going to charge like, what, $10 for shipping? Something like that. And here's the thing. Yeah, they're raising the prices to these figures, to these luxuries, to these consumables. Okay, I mean, are we going to raise wages too? We're going to raise the minimum wage? Raise the prices, raise the minimum wage. I'll understand it. And like I said, it's just depressing me more and more that I am almost, like, you know, no other way to put it, being priced out of my hobbies. It's like I'm being shoved out. Like, I feel like I'm being shoved out by Pokimane herself. If you're broke, boy, just say so. And just shoved out of the door and be like, but I was here the whole time. Because I love this stuff. I love these characters. I like these properties. I like the hobby of collecting, the hobby of playing games, and now I can't even enjoy that.